The invasion of primitive civilizations is a staple of sci-fi. Many a time, the Earth has fallen victim to the invasions of more advanced aliens, and we, the reader or viewer, can do nothing but watch. But now, in Stellaris, we can be the perpetrators of such a deed. The galaxy of Stellaris can be populated with many pre-FTL civilizations, and I recommend going for 5 times the normal amount. I will be looking at invading primitives through the lens of an authoritarian government, which has some interesting tools for dealing with the native population, namely the stratified economy. But be warned, if you are going to use other ethics like egalitarian, pacifism, or xenophile, you may not be able to set your native interference policy to allow for the invasion of primitives. Step 1 is to identify a target. As you explore the galaxy, you will find various primitive civilizations on planets. They have this nifty axe icon to denote their failure to achieve FTL as of yet. Clearly, they need our guidance, and we shall give it to them. Here, you can see some interesting facts about the society, such as their tech level, late medieval age, population of 10, and their army strength of 13. Pathetic. Now, the most important piece of information is going to be their population. Ideally, when you invade, the planet should have 10 pops or more, because this way, as soon as you take over the planet, you can build a planetary administration. Now, before you can invade, you must claim the system, which has already been done. An outpost has been built, and Zatar falls well within our jurisdiction. Then, make sure your economy can handle the burden of a massive new influx of population. The planet will suffer stellar culture shock for 3,600 days, 3,600 days, and so it will be consuming food and consumer goods without contributing much. Here I have plenty of energy and minerals. I have negative food, but I have a large enough stockpile to see me through. And of course we have consumer goods and alloys. But this is where the stratified economy really helps out a lot, as the massive worker population we are about to gain will be consuming less consumer goods and be less of a burden. And then there's also the option of enslaving the whole lot of them, and then they will consume very little, and you just need to wait the 3,600 days to start getting some useful labor out of them. Well then, let's invade, shall we? Landing armies on a non-hostile planet will turn them hostile against us, should we proceed, and you will, of course, say yes. And it should be a quick, bloody fight, or not very bloody.
Invasion commenced.
Bloody for one side, quick and efficient for another.
Ground invasion force has seized a planet.
Easily done. Subjugating primitives. To them, our weapons must appear like magic. A nice little flavorful blurb, always much appreciated. And now, you are the proud owner of a new planet. As you can see, all of the former buildings have been demolished, and we have our reassembled ship shelter. And now, since we have 10 pops, we can go ahead and upgrade to a planetary administration. If we look at the population, we have massive unemployment, there's massive stability penalties, we have our stellar culture shock, which minus a 33% resources from jobs. There's really no way you can get around that. But in the meantime, we can enact some policies, we can make some decisions that will improve conditions on this world. So once the planetary admin is done, we can then make our next move. The planetary admin will be complete soon. Once we have that, we will have enforcer jobs, which will decrease crime, and of course, more amenities from the administrators, which, as you can see, increased stability up to 22%. Now, we have a few options here. Currently, the local population is taking over the rulership positions, which I quite like, because it represents how some of the local population would collaborate with the invaders in exchange for power, perhaps for personal gain, or to help ensure their people are treated fairly. Also, I'm using the aristocratic elite civic, which allows one of my planetary leaders to be a noble, which actually increases stability by 5 right off the bat, which is kind of nice. It helps to increase the productivity of the planet, but still, you're going to have that minus 33% from stellar culture shock, which you're going to notice no matter what. If we look at the resource production of the planet, we can see that our worker living standards are causing them to only consume 0.36 consumer goods. So even though we're not getting much out of the workers, they're also at the same time not consuming too much. So it doesn't really matter. Now, a bigger problem are the specialists and rulers consuming many consumer goods without really contributing too much. So the other option we have here is, instead of letting them be free residents within our empire, we could enslave them. You know, forget about the whole collaboration bit. We will just enslave them and be done with it. And this has a number of advantages. Now the entire population are enslaved workers, are barely consuming any consumer goods at all, 0.45, and we can just wait for the stellar culture shock to wear off and get some useful labor out of them. Also, you could always transfer these population units to another planet, because the culture shock is attached to the planet, not the population. And then the fun bit at this point is we can transfer in our own people to be the rulers and specialists of the planet to keep the slaves in line. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, I've moved in my own Megarian people to occupy the admin, noble, and enforcer slot. As you can see, our pop approval rating is going up quite high because our rulers have so much political power relative to the slaves, which in turn helps to increase stability and therefore productivity of the planet. But this is something I've covered in another video about the stratified economy, so I won't go too much into that right now. And that pretty much covers it. That covers the invasion of primitive worlds. Another final note that I'll make about authoritarians and the stratified economy is that it can be very efficient to fill these slave worlds with commercial zones for clerk jobs. Normally, clerk jobs are very inefficient because the worker is consuming food and goods and only produces 2 amenities and trade value. But under the stratified economy, or with slavery, the workers consume so little that it becomes more worth it. And since commercial zones don't increase empire size, you can load up on clerk jobs without increasing your admin cap, apart from the occasional city district to house the workers. And I'll add, if you enslave them, you can fit even more workers into each city district. And that is all. Just some things to look out for when you invade primitive worlds. Thank you for watching. Hit that thumbs up and leave a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one.